shift right over, please.
Yo, what's up, Will? Welcome back to the channel, buddy.
Hey, Jeff. Yeah, it's been a minute. Excited to break down some more Chicago races.
Chicago. So I'm gonna make the mistake and call this Intelligentsia probably a bunch of times. But this is no longer Intelligentsia. It is Chicago Grit. But this is Lake Ellen, and this is the same races. In fact, I think all of them are the same, just a different sponsor. This is day 2, and you are ripping up the start-finish straight of what is like one of the more interesting courses I want to talk about. But before we get there, is this Lucas on the Tavella? What is he telling you on the right?
Lucas Burgoyne is telling me that people are riding sketchy, but that he trusts my wheel. And I'm about to do some sketchy stuff myself.
He almost hit some legs there. Well, no, it was a little sketch, but look what you just did. He just made up like 30 spots. And if we look back at that one more time, you are doing 0 watts. Everyone in front of you is doing 0 watts. And all you had to do, look, you went up to, well, you did 500 for like a couple of seconds. You made up, I think it's like 30 wheels right there, Will. It must feel good.
Yeah.
For the obvious reason that you've improved your position, but also now you get first crack, well, second crack technically, at this really technical little wiggle through here, which makes a big difference. I remember having to brake and sprint through all of that. Now that you're up here, time to attack, right? What's going on?
Why not? Yeah. Got to the front, so let's make a move and sniff out if anybody else is willing to hurt today as well.
I swear you get a little bit of like an adrenaline boost once you make a really aggressive inside move like that. And now you're going up the hill. Watch out, don't crash on the hill, Will.
Oh, gosh.
Call back.
Last year.
Call back to when I first met you, buddy. It was on this course. We were both sitting in the pit. Like, what just happened? We crashed on an uphill. But you did not crash this time. And do you have separation is the question.
A little bit, but not enough to continue pushing. So you can see here, I just dropped the power down to like endurance watts.
And you went over the roundabout, which is the age-old question at Lake Ellen is, do you go over the roundabout or around the roundabout? And I'm torn. I think that over, all things equal, is probably the move. But I find myself going around that roundabout a lot, too. Anyway, I love this course, man. Coming down this hill, it gets all green back here, and it's just really fast. And it really is a tour of Lake Ellen. There it is on the left. Unfortunately, you are caught now by MitoQ. This is probably a good opportunity to talk about who's in this race. Starting with MitoQ, tell us who else is in this race counterattacking you right now.
Yeah, you can see Above and Beyond Cancer and Hustle Pro Cycling Continental teams. There's that Mexican team right there. And also Rainstorm Racing has a few riders, including Fergus Arthur, who is bound to get into a breakaway himself as well if he can. So lots of guys who are going to be going for the breakaway during this race.
Yeah, there's a bunch of other teams, guys. These fields are like 120 riders or something like that. Blazers on the left there, obvious strong team. Belay Factory Racing, local boys here in NorCal, they had good representation out there. So that is just about a lap. And you can see these are not your normal crit laps. Makes things a little bit more difficult to get away at times. But that's not going to slow you down, Will. Let's see how it works out. Okay, but first, quick mention from today's video sponsor, Factor. Stress-free, ready-to-eat, never frozen meals that land at your doorstep. And look, guys, I generally like cooking, but not all the time. And Factor is really the go-to for us here at the house when things are busy, things are stressful. You just pop it. Well, in this case, we're popping it in the microwave because we're having problems with the oven, which is what I'm talking about. There's always stuff going on in life, and it's really simple to have just a few Factor boxes ready to go in the fridge. So if you want to support this channel and get a pretty healthy discount, head on over to factor75.com or click the link below and use code 50NorCal to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first Factor box. That's code 50NorCal at factor75.com to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Now back to the video. Are a little bit further on in this race, but not that far. We still have 35 kilometers to go, and you're going to see on the left here a group of 2, a very threatening group of 2 off the front. Tell us who that is.
Yeah, Josh Burnett from MitoQ and Fergus Arthur on Rainstorm, the 2 big teams that are going to be battling it out this entire race, and they've both got a rider off the front. So I know that is a threatening move, and we've got to do something about it.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. You know, like if it were just 2 guys not part of the major teams represented, not as threatening, right? Because you have to think about when there's a rider off the front with like 6 teammates, that eliminates 6 people from the field from chasing because they're not going to chase teammates because they watch NorCal Cycling, and that's rule number 1 on NorCal Cycling. But these 2 guys with big teams definitely justifies this difficult effort. And that you made that corner look easy, by the way. That final corner is a doozy. And then coming up this I hesitate to call it a hill because it's probably like 2%, but I swear, Will, back me up here, man. The laws of physics do not apply. Like, drafting is not possible on that hill for some reason. Is it just me? It's like your wheels are in quicksand or something.
It is. It's grippy.
182 beats per minute. Look at you, dog, with 33 kilometers left. But you got help here. And is there anybody behind, or is it just you 2 guys? This is Hollick. Is that his name?
Yeah, Richard Hollick. We've got a bit of a gap, but it is not substantial. Everybody's hurting at this point right now. So if we keep on the gas, it can grow a little bit. We've got all the teams we need represented right here and plenty of firepower. So I'm hoping we can just like keep the pace high. And then Ben Oliver on the right there, he even threatens a little counterattack, but doesn't go through.
This is almost like too good. It reminds me of the stage last year where I was off the front in a break that had like everybody, so then nobody wants to work, right? It's like it's such a dynamic sport, guys. Like when there's a breakaway, it has to have the right composition for it to work. Unfortunately, this one was not it. Let's fast forward a bit and see how the rest of this race plays out. 26 kilometers left to go. Tell us what's going on, Will.
I see a little gap open. They're slowing their pace a little bit, and I take advantage. Just super slingshot around these guys and start probably my most successful attack of the day. I look back on my wheel here. I have a MitoQ guy. I have Marshall from MitoQ. And so I'm just going to keep the pace up, try to extend this gap. I know nobody else is going to chase. Maybe Rainstorm will try and bring it back a little bit, but we're going to give them the hardest break they can possibly pull back and just get a ton of pace through this top section here.
You're being modest, Will. That was like the classic slingshot. I love that. And what you guys might not realize is that was up a hill. So he was coming in that corner at like 32 miles an hour at the top of the hardest feature on this course, I would say, which is that hill. So you were rewarded with this MitoQ rider also jumping across a healthy gap, and this is both like discouraging and also a sign that like the breakaway's got a chance. It's like a little bit of both. When somebody comes past you after you finish a really hard pull and you have to do like 800 to get back in their draft, you're like dying a million deaths, but also it shows that they're motivated to make this work. It's better than the opposite, right? When you like elbow flick through and just like nothing happens. So
nothing. Yeah.
So yeah, you're not. Oh yeah, and you guys take this corner completely differently. That's kind of interesting. You took the Jeff line there. I would have done the same. I like the outside line, pedal through it, but you can see all things kind of neutralized there and equaled out at the end. Marshall took the inside. But as we can see in the rear, Cam, you are being chased back by probably Rainstorm. Rainstorm rider on the front. Unfortunately, it looks like you needed one Rainstorm rider.
Yeah, we definitely did. I mean, it's on them to pull it back, and they were on it really quickly, which is good on them for doing that. But we're really hoping we can break that guy, so we're just going to keep pedaling until we get caught.
And unfortunately, you did get brought back, and that brings us inside of 10 kilometers to go. Still positioned really well. Still looking for a breakaway, I imagine. And coming into this final corner, I told you guys this was a dangerous one, and this is why my buddy Dave, an Alto Velo rider, another local, just pedaling a little bit too soon. Actually, let's watch that one more time.
Please.
All right, so we're approaching this final corner, and we have a dive bomber, Dave. But is it a dive bomber? I've talked about this before, and I have pretty strong opinions about this. The way I see it is if you take an aggressive inside line, which I don't think anybody would say that Dave's not taking an aggressive inside line, as long as you aren't affecting the line choice or the speed of the riders around you, like if you're forcing people to use their brakes, that's probably not good. Dave's got a clean line right here, and it was just like a well-executed corner. The problem is he just started pedaling too soon. He just was excited to get back on the gas, and as you can see, that's a clip pedal. That is a classic clip pedal. Loses the back wheel and just lands right in front of you. You got nowhere to go. You almost hit him in the crotch. I guess that could have been worse for Dave. But I will say, Will, how are you, because you're so modest, you would never admit to this, how are you so good at crashing? How do you just end up on your feet right here? What is going on? Are you like a cat?
Practice makes perfect, Jeff.
This is not something you want to be good at, but also
No.
at the same time, you want to be good at it when the time comes. People just running over your bike. Anyway,
Man.
you end up back in the pit. Let's pick things up here on the last lap. Last lap time, Will. What's up, man? You are positioned super well, but you got your work cut out for you because you weren't able to shed any of them pesky sprinters. And you're up against it. Like, I see the race leader right there. I see all the strongest flat-out sprinters in this race. Got your work cut out for you. What's the plan here? I haven't watched the last lap. This will be new for me, too.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to go as hard as I can, get as far forward into that last corner as possible, and hope I don't get swarmed by something crazy. There's not a team like necessarily leading out super strong for this whole last lap. Everybody's burnt a lot of matches, so we're all just trying to like follow the swarm and make this last lap happen.
800 up this climb. You guys need to understand, like, these guys don't get tired at this level. I've done a lot of racing at this level, national level racing, especially Intelligentsia, formerly Intelligentsia, now Chicago Grit. And, I'll do like local races, and it'll be really hard for a few laps, and then it'll chill. Out here, it's like it'll be really hard for a few laps, and then it'll be even harder for a few laps because people just want to go over the top and make it even faster. That's the way breakaways are successful. And, for example, like Will, you must have done 340, 350 watts or something like that in this race.
Yeah, right in that range. Which, for me, that's like in my tempo zone still. But with all the accelerations that I've done, my legs are still pretty zapped at this point.
And the heat, we haven't talked about that. Freaking Chicago. Maybe you're used to it. I'm such a softie when it comes to like the humidity and the heat that you experience out here. It easily takes like 20 watts off my FTP like right away. So, and that also includes the time you spent in the pit. Let's not forget. You spent like a good 5 minutes doing nothing in the pit. So, 360, 370 normalized is what it takes to kind of be of consequence in races at this level. And, even then, look at how many riders are still like, here come the dive bombers on the inside. And this is what it takes. Like, you have to be so courageous through these corners and risk having to grab a handful of brakes if you can't find a clean line. And you're out here doing 1,200 watts out of the hairpin, which is like the last thing you want to be doing with 500 meters to go.
Yeah.
But the finish kind of suits you. Like, you're still thinking about the finish, right?
Yeah. Hopefully I can get a nice line into this last corner, but at this point it is not looking like I'm gonna be able to get over many people. I still take this inside line here, probably past like 3 dudes, and then unfortunately get bunched up right into the last corner, so I have to scrub a little speed into the sprint, which usually does suit me, but we've scrubbed speed, so we've already lost a little pace to that front group.
Yeah, and if you guys think about it, it's like car racing. If you're down 2 miles an hour from the front riders in that corner, which is probably what you were, that is compounding. That means that they are able to carry those 2 extra miles an hour for the final 250 meters of the race, which means like you are just playing catch up the whole time. Unfortunately for you, that means that you did not win this race. You were, 15th? Something like that, it looked like?
Yeah, 16th place. Lucas Burgoyne ended up taking the win. Right behind him was Richard Hull.
Oh, nice. He's on that Tavel. He's on. You guys give me crap all the time for doing the Chinese race wheels. He's on the full Chinese bike. So, cool, man. Will, great having you on, man. Always is. And we have a lot more footage. If you guys like this type of content, be sure to let us know. And be sure to check out Will's channel. He does these races all the time. I'll leave a link down in the description. Great having you on, buddy.
Thanks, Jeff.